Hey, listen up. We got another episode of Wise Kracks, featuring the crack man himself, Bill Krackomberger, and our co-host, Jon Orlando, straight from Las Vegas. Wise Kracks is your ticket inside the world of sports betting, with tips, picks, special guests, and more. Only on WSN.com.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome back to Wise Kracks. I'm Jon Orlando. I've got Mr. Bill Krackomberger with me. It's another week has gone by, and here we are, Bill. I like it. I like this day of the week.
You know, it's funny, Jon. Just when I think that, after the basketball crazy March Madness and the NFL season and props, and there's always something to bet on. I have been run down. I am run down. Man, I always have a button-up shirt. I don't even have one. I got a T-shirt on like you.
T-shirts are okay.
The NFL draft, I have run all over town, coast to coast. I ran to Colorado for the day, and I'm just telling you, I planned to bet like a couple grand, and I bet tens of thousands instead.
Wait, when you say you ran to Colorado, was that to make bets at a casino there? Oh, wow.
Yes, because that's where it's closer to Vegas to bet some of the sports books like the FanDuels, DraftKings, PointsBets. Colorado is actually much closer, just, hour and change. And
I thought I was invited on all the trips. What happened?
That one.
Are you seeing other people? What's going on here, Bill?
You're due for another Jersey trip together. We'll have some fun.
Okay.
When it warms up with there, we'll have some fun. There's some unbelievable promos going on in Jersey at all times. So
really,
yes. Since we were there last time, and you were there, that there's actually much more even now. So we're gonna make some money together, and we're gonna make some money betting together too.
I look forward to it. Well, we've got a great show today. We will talk about the NFL draft, as you hinted. And also there's the baseball. Baseball's in full swing. The Dodgers and Padres have been going at it. The Sox and Yankees have been going at it. And speaking of baseball, we've got a former major league great, a 17-year veteran. Royce Clayton is going to join us a little later in the show. But before we get to Royce, let's talk about the draft as it is upon us. And you're no stranger to, I heard when we were doing the pre-show meeting, I won't let the cat out of the bag, but it sounds like you've got your fingers on the pulse of this draft.
Yeah. It's all about information, Jon, and I have a good team behind me that's giving me information on different things, not only reading the socials, but they actually, not only reading the social media, which you're always supposed to, but when you're on the if you're in it, like what I was saying is, if you're on the internet every day and actually getting the beat writers and maybe even pulling up old interviews of coaches and assistant coaches and staff, you could pick up little nuggets, those little tells that, like a poker tell, that hopefully you can, we could pick out little things that we can actually use to make money with. So it's been like that too. For example, I bet over on something the other day, and it was probably not a good bet, because now there was information that came out that there was a trade being made. It was over 5.5 or 6.5 offensive linemen in the first round. So there was a couple trades. Kansas City made a trade, and they actually took a lineman. And then Miami just yesterday also, took a trade, and it may affect the offensive lineman picks for the first round. So now I actually had to scramble and go get off that bet a little bit. I wasn't planning to, but I bet so much on it. I bet like 4,000 on that one. So I actually wind up getting off a little bit of that. I'm still rooting for more than 6.5. And even my guys say it could happen, and it's probably the right side anyway, but just in case we hedged a little back. So it's all about information, but it's running around so crazy, because lots of times in person, you can get a bigger bet than on the app, depending on what sports book. Now, a place like Circa or something like that, no, they think the same thing. But if you go to like a South Point, you have to go in person, because they don't take full limits on the app. So it just matters whatever the preference is of the bookmaker itself. So
did I hear that right? Did you say you didn't have a big bet, only 4,000? Is that what you just said?
Is that what I said? I didn't mean it like that. It came off wrong. Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
Well, believe it or not, if I'm betting for the team, there's on these particular props, there's 3 of us. So that's $1,333. Really?
You say it like that. Okay.
Yeah. Bankroll management, it's really not a big bet. I'd like to get down more. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be heading today. I can actually probably mention it here. Why not? I'm going to be heading after the show today to go bet as much money as I can on something, on something. And I guess I can even, I mean, I didn't really give it out.
Pick? I feel like you're about to give out a pick.
Yeah, this guy, you know, I don't really know a lot of these guys. I just know that what my team tells me. So,
right.
But this guy did here, Sewell, we're betting him over 5.5, and it's minus about $1.50 now. And we're betting him over. So that'll be, now when I say over 5.5, that means we're betting him over 5.5 selection wise. So if he's picked in the first 5 players, I lose. If he's picked after the 6th player or over that, I win. So I am going out to bet that. I bet it this morning for like $3,000. I'm going out to bet it for more money.
And what's the line on that? I know it probably keeps
over 5.5 minus 160 is the line I'm going to bet.
Now, when the books see you bet a regular game, they all go, oh, God, what does he know? Is it the same on a prop like this? Do they go, oh?
Especially a prop.
Really?
Yes, especially a prop. The limits are really reduced. Circa is taking $2,000 per prop on the top 40 over under. But besides them, everyone else is taking like a dime. I shouldn't say that. Actually, I seen there's another book that was taking $2,000 a play too. I was really surprised. So there are some other books out there. It just depends on which book you're going to. There's some books out there that are just petrified. They're taking $300. So, and I understand. Listen, if I was booking this stuff, I depend on the sharp guys to iron out the line and sharpen me up if I'm a bookmaker. So I probably would only take nickels too. So.
Krack, let me ask you this. Trevor Lawrence is a lock pretty much to go number 1. He's minus 10,000 to be the first pick. I was wondering, how much will you be putting on that?
You know, here's a great thing, John, and this is good for you too, especially you, and especially anyone that likes big favorites. But how will the money affect you? Ready?
Right.
If you're going to lay 1,000 to 1 on something, and let me lock up $100. I could do this, and you can want to win $100, but you're laying 1,000 to 1. That $100 doesn't buy a meal. Doesn't buy a good meal anyway.
Right.
But the thousands and tens of thousands you lay would affect you. So always think it's not free money. Always think of it as, you know, if I'm laying that kind of money, will that affect me? Or if I'm winning this kind of money, how does it relate to affecting you? And I'll tell you right away, if you put it on that mental state in your mind, trust me, you won't be betting a lot of these big favorites. And I'm not even using Trevor. Let's not use this guy. Let's use a boxing match where I want to lay 20 to 1 or something like that. Now, you're talking to a guy that actually always liked betting against Floyd Mayweather because he was always 6, 7, 8, 10 to 1. But and never cashed, by the way. Obviously, he's unbeaten. But then I got on the bandwagon late, and I actually got some of my money back, especially when Floyd fought Conor and when he fought Manny. So anyway, just letting you know about anyone out there too. Always think how the money affects you if you lose that amount of money, and how the money will affect you if you just win that little bit amount of money. If it's really a big difference to you, and you say, "Wow, this is not going to affect me," because something could go wrong. How about this? In boxing or mixed martial arts, it could be, I don't know, I shouldn't say mixed martial arts, but in boxing, a headbutt can happen, a bad cut, you know.
I'm glad you just...
Or a broken leg.
It's a great segue. It just happened. It just literally happened last week, last Saturday night. Back-to-back fights. Jimmy Crute, who's not you have to be a diehard fight fan to know that name. He broke, I don't know if the official diagnosis was a broken leg, but he got kicked like behind the knee, and something just wasn't right, and he just kind of crumbled. He was a warrior. He tried to hop out there with one leg, but the ref and the commission stopped the fight. And then the very next fight was the Chris Weidman fight. You know, Chris is a former two-time champion two-time champion in the UFC. He beat the great. How's this for irony, Bill? Chris Weidman beat Anderson Silva when Anderson was in his prime. He knocked him out. When they did the rematch, right? They did an immediate rematch. In the first round, Anderson threw a kick and ended up breaking his leg on Chris Weidman's shin. Anderson broke his leg. It was gruesome. And Chris Weidman defended the belt by winning that fight, because Anderson obviously couldn't continue. And then now fast forward to last Saturday, Chris Weidman did the exact same thing when he was fighting Uriah Hall. Just an awful thing to see. I don't know if you saw it, but
I heard about it and I seen some pictures of it after. Was he a big favorite there, John? Was he like a couple, like two or
no,
three?
No, it was almost a pick 'em. It was almost a pick 'em. Yeah. Okay. And just to show you what kind of guy Dana White, because I know Dana gets a lot of heat, for not being a good boss or whatever. He sent Chris Weidman posted out of the hospital and getting on the private jet courtesy of Dana White. So shout out to Dana White for once again being a good guy.
Yeah, no, he is a good. He's a good guy. Matter of fact, one time I was in the Palms and I was at dinner. I was at dinner with a couple guys, and he came over and paid the check. So
really,
he's a good guy. Yeah.
Wait, did he know you guys or just?
No, he knew that. He knew one of the other guys. I didn't know him. First time I met him.
Really?
Yeah. And you want to know something? He actually is a good guy with a lot of people and taking care of people. And I'm sorry, I know it's weird. Not that it's weird, but for a street smarts knockaround guy like me, I rate people how they tip people, how they help others. And so Dana's good in my book. Even though we had a little bit of controversy on when we had BJ Flores on and we were saying, post your ticket, Dana, but that was all in fun.
Well, and to further that point, not to be, make this the Dana White hour, but during, post the awful shooting here in town on October 1st, a few years back, whatever that was, 3-4 years ago, I know a family that was really affected badly by that. Dana didn't know these people, but he heard of the story and he sent them a check for $50,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good guy, man.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Love it.
So anyway, let's talk a little baseball. So my Dodgers, the Dodgers are the team that I picked to shatter the regular season win total with which is 116, and I said they're going to win 120. They can't buy a win right now. Krack, my infamous Dodgers minus 1.5 won 8 in a row, and now it's lost 9 in a row. So you might be on to something with your strategy on this stuff, Krack.
Well, you just can't bet anything blindly, but I understand. They're let me tell you something though. That just goes to show you the value in baseball betting underdogs too. I mean, the Reds are beating them. I mean, there's a couple teams that were, listen, the Dodgers are still the best team in baseball. I've been watching them the last few nights, matter of fact. So they have the best lineup, great pitching. They're the best team in baseball, even though, and we're talking about them like they're going through this streak, like, oh my God, they still have the best record in baseball. I mean, they're tied for the best record in baseball. I think there was 3 teams that were 15-9 as of this filming. So listen, you can't bet them blindly every day. You're realizing that now. It's a good check. Put you right in check though. And I'm definitely not out there with my collection little cup, for the Dodgers and their players either.
All right. Very good. And as you know, the biggest name in boxing right now is Jake Paul. And now there's been big headline news in the boxing world with Jake's brother, who Jake used to live in the shadows of. And now he might be back in that shadow because it was just announced that Logan Paul is going to fight the undefeated Floyd Mayweather in July in Florida. Are you buying this fight, Bill?
No, zero interest. Honestly. Now that I know that I'm not going to say it's a money grab because I don't know how much money's involved here, but it probably is a money grab. This is like, what are we doing here? I feel like I'm watching Rocky when Sylvester Stallone went against Hulk Hogan in the ring. I just don't get it. It's an exhibition, and is there no judges? Am I hearing this right?
I believe there's no judges, and it's an exhibition, and there's no. It's just those two moving around, I believe.
I mean, is it going to be like the Tyson
no winner
thing?
will be declared. Yes, exactly. Like the Tyson thing.
So no winner is going to be declared?
No winner will be declared. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my knowledge. I think that's, I believe I'm right.
I would think there have to be a betting aspect to this. So I would think maybe some rules will change here as we learn more information. What good is watching boxing if I can't bet on it?
Right. Yeah.
That's 2021 thinking. But I shouldn't say that really. There's been betting going on forever since boxing first started, going back to 100 and some years. I mean, there's always been betting on boxing.
Yeah.
So no real interest. This is getting to be a little bit of a clown show here. I don't know who Logan Paul even is, by the way. So.
That's Jake's brother. He was the famous of the Paul brothers.
He was? Logan
he was kind of more famous until recently with Jake making headlines. But well, here's the good news. If you guys listening and watching do want to make some bets, download the Krack Wins app. Or you can go to crackwins.com. And as you know, I tell you every week, the Krack Wins app is available on Apple or Google Play. There's plenty of basketball, golf, and baseball going on. And maybe, I guess there's regular season basketball, just about a dozen games. And then we get into the playoffs. And, Krack Wins is the only service that provides consistent long-term winning across several sports. Don't listen to me. I'll tell you Dodgers -1.5 is a lock. And that just slapped me in the face. So follow Krack. Don't follow Orlando. Follow Krack, download the Krack Wins app today. That was pretty good info.
Yeah.
I mean,
we've been doing, I love the word consistent because that's what I focus on, long-term winning. And we've won probably 250 units now since I started the app. Wow. Every year, every quarter, we have winning quarters. We never had a losing quarter. Had a losing month. Not many of them, though. I went like 7-8 months in a row winning. So, we're the only really service out there that I know provides consistent long-term winning across several sports. Listen, there's a basketball now, there's PGA golf, baseball's been started out really well. There's multiple games every day. So I look forward to continue winning, even though it's not the basketball season, college basketball, where I get into it so much. I love baseball as a fan, and I love, I don't really give out no favorites. I'm not giving out really not big favorites. I don't think I've given out a game over -150 this year, and I probably won't. I'm a dog guy, or I'm a small favorite guy. So, and we're going to get the money by the time the year's over again. And like I said, we started out well too. So thanks.
Yeah. And then now you've actually, we talk about it on the show all the time, but you've legit got me hooked on WSN.com now. You tell the truth. They've got so many great stories. Obviously, we talk about, they've got, it's a great place to go to find out where all the good promotions are on all the different sites. But the articles on that site are fantastic. As I mentioned last week, I'm kind of partial to the horse racing stuff. But yeah, they've got some really good articles on WSN.com. So guys, be sure to check out WSN.com as well. Your thoughts, Bill?
Well, you're right. Horse racing stuff. The first Saturday in May, we have the Kentucky Derby coming up.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not big on horse racing because of the hold and the big hold percentages, the Kentucky Derby is a special day. The mint juleps, my old Kentucky home. There's a lot of history to that. So I have never been to Churchill for the Derby.
God, we gotta go.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go
next year.
One of these days, I'm going to go. And there's a great article up on WSN right now about that, which I took a peek at. And there's, like I said, there's always great articles. You can actually go there. Not only can you go there for our podcast, which is at the top of the page, and you can click on more episodes to see some older episodes, but you can also click on like all news, baseball news, of course, the U.S. sports betting news, which I absolutely love. There's a great article about sports betting arriving in Arizona, which is on WSN. And North Carolina, when you get to the Bible Belt states, sometimes it's you always think that they're going to be last, but then again, Florida, Florida just talked about getting it, and they're going to be getting it. Probably only at the Hard Rocks for now, the Indian casinos, but they're going to be getting it too. And same thing with New York. That's on here too. An article about that, and of course. Last but not least is the sportsbook bonuses, and they are plentiful on WSN.com. I don't know anywhere you can go and not get better bonuses than WSN.com.
Yeah, so check it out today, guys. Okay, Krack, earlier this morning, we sat down with our guest, with Mr. Royce Clayton, and let's play that for the people right now because we had a nice little chat with him. Okay, Bill, it's that time. We've got a great guest lined up today. This guy is a 17-year Major League Baseball veteran. He came up with the Giants. Even though I'm a Dodger fan, I still am a fan of his. And then he did something that not many could or would even want to do. He filled in some pretty big shoes in St. Louis for Ozzie Smith. And I speak of the great Royce Clayton. How are you, Royce?
I'm doing great. How's it going, John?
Good, man. Good. It's good to have you. Thanks for doing this. So I mentioned I brought up the Giants Dodgers right off the bat, so we might as well just stay with that for a second. I have a lot of Giant fan friends, and I've been just annihilating them in the DMs and whatnot. And then all of a sudden, I woke up today and realized we're tied with them for first place. What the heck is going on here, Royce?
You know, it's just good combination of bringing a good manager in. I think Gabe Kapler's doing a good job of bringing those guys together. And, in big leagues, it's not really noted that a manager can make that big of a difference. But, if you look at what happened at the tail end of last year, the cohesiveness for the Giants seemed to start coming together. They bought into what Gabe's trying to put across, and they finished strong. And it seems like they picked up right where they left off last year. So kudos to, the organization for, if you look at the roster, just some young guys that are stepping up and, some veteran leadership, and you got a manager at the helm that's doing a heck of a job right now. So hopefully they'll keep it going.
Cool. Hey, Royce, I want to stick with that same topic too. Giants and Dodgers both tied for the best record in baseball, 15-9. I'm a sports betting man, and I know it's early in the season, so that's what I do. I bet sports for a living. So in Vegas right now, you could bet the Giants still. I checked this morning to win the World Series at 85-1, where the Dodgers are like 2.5-1. Of course, I want to know, do you think they can keep up this competitive pace right now? Are they competitive enough to actually, get into the playoffs? And it might see, because someone like me, I'll look to make a bet like that, 85-1. As long as they get to the playoffs, I can make money with that bet because I can actually hedge it a little bit and bet the other way a little bit. I'll lock up a nice profit. What do you think? You think they're capable? Absolutely.
I think, you get out the gate and, that obviously helps a lot. And then you look at the only downside is they have a very competitive league in the West. And if you look at the Central, the East, it's just, there's some mediocre baseball teams out there that you can kind of beat up on in 3-game series. But the tough part about the Giants is obviously you have the Dodgers and the Padres in the same division. But, if you play well within your division, somewhere around 500, and then you beat up on those other teams that are mediocre outside your division, then you can, bump your way up. And, with the split division, I think there's a lot of teams in the past that have gotten wild card bids or just snuck into the playoffs, depending on a weaker division. The Central's been weak. So it just really depends on your division. But I think that the Giants getting off to a good start is a real strength for them. And I think they can, maintain as long as they play well against the Dodgers and the Padres, they should fare well.
Cool. Bite your tongue. Royce, they've changed a lot of the rules to speed the game up. I was wondering, what are your thoughts on the just little league point to first for the intentional walk and the starting a man on second base in extra innings? Is that good for the game, or do you want to go back to the purity of the game?
I'd like to go back to the purity, actually. The first thing that really stuck out to me was, the intentional walk process, because I've seen pitchers throw the ball to the backstop a number of times. It's not an easy thing for the pitcher to coordinate with the catcher, and that's just part of baseball. You should be able to execute that. And then, as far as extra innings go, putting a guy out on second base really puts your closer, your relief pitchers in a situation they're really not accustomed to, especially holding runners and, fielding bunts in certain situations. They don't bunt anymore, but I'm just saying, when I watched the game the other night, and I'll use your Dodgers, for example, it just looked like Kenley wasn't real comfortable starting off with a man on second. He never really got a feel for what he was trying to do, although he does pitch out the stretch. It was just something that I think is in the back of your mind. It's like, man, I got a man on second already. And it's just going to take some time for these guys to get used to that situation. But preferably, I'd like to just see him, tee it up from a fresh inning and see what happens. And, sometimes I've been involved with those marathon games, but, it's just part of it and extra baseball for the fans sometimes.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So you'll follow the Dodgers in San Fran. You'll try to watch the games when you can?
Periodically I do. I'm busy coaching. I'm with my kids. So, it just really depends. There's some nights where I'll come home and one of the teaching tools I do use is try to just kind of have a game on and my kids can come watch and kind of show them some situations and so forth. Because, dad's at home. I don't really want to go into coach mode, but if the game happens to be on, I'll ask some questions. But that's basically what I use the games for. Towards the tail end of the year, I think it gets exciting, and I'll start watching a little bit more. But right now, I'll just catch games whenever I can. Cool.
And Royce, I don't know if you saw the Trevor Bauer and Fernando Tatis little thing the other day. Tatis has been on fire, lighting the Dodgers up, hitting the long ball, and he did a little showboating after that. Bauer said he loved it. What are your thoughts on that? The unwritten rules in baseball. I kind of like the celebrations and the showboating. Good or bad?
I do. I just want to see the impact it has on our youth as far as, especially high school level. I don't know how they're handling it in Little League, but, to be honest with you, it just, I don't want to be a stick in the mud. So progressively you say, okay, it's good for the game. It adds excitement. It adds some flair, which, obviously the game needs. But at some point in time, we have to understand that you teach kids about, camaraderie, teammates, and it's all about the team and team concept of baseball. But some of these celebrations, pounding the chest, celebrating yourself, kind of makes it a little bit individualistic, if you ask me. But I think Trevor handled it extremely well. He didn't act like he was upset about it. He said it's good for the game, so he said the right things. But how far do you take it? I mean, I'm seeing guys throwing bats and flinging it way up in the air and doing pirouettes and dancing. I'm like, man, what's next? They're going to start shooting off. They're going to have a prop. Like, remember T.O. had his pin in his back pocket? Yeah. The Sharpie. And, somebody may have some fireworks and just take it out their back pocket and start shooting up fireworks. I just wanted to see what's going on next because I think it's gone to the extreme.
I like that you're old school like that too. I'm an old school guy. I just think almost like, remember Barry Sanders or Walter Payton? They used to just take the ball, hand it to the ref, let's go. I love that kind of stuff. So I'm an old school guy too. I actually, you mentioned now twice about teaching youth and stuff. I am all about that. I actually really enjoyed an interview you did talking about the mental side of the game. Is this something that you actively teach your players, even your children, or is it something you teach maybe before an individual game, before the season? I love this. I love the deep thought and thought process of it. So is that something that you actively do with every day, or?
Yeah, it's just part of how I went about it. So I know how much the mental side of the game is important. It controls the physical. If you ask me about, guys having injuries and not being able to stay on the field, I think it's 90% mental. You have to teach the young people that adversity is part of the game. Failure is a big part of the game. And the more that you're able to deal with it and push through it, the more that you'll have success and be able to sustain a career. And like I said, I just think that a lot of these young players aren't used to adversity. There's a lot of pressure on them. And soon enough, their bodies will break down because mentally they're not tough enough to go through the rigors of the struggles of an everyday season. And I'll just use a classic example. If you can tell me a guy has had like a 25-game hitting streak and pull up with a bad hammy, I'll pay you $1,000. Now he's a guy that's over 40 or, 0 for 15 and on his way to a huge struggle. And that's the mental part of the game that you have to really just find ways to contribute, find ways to push through it. And that's a big part of it. So I do teach that just from the aspect of, there's going to be adversity. I tell my team that all the time. I'm looking forward to that adversity because we'll get through it. We'll be better. We'll be stronger. And so I just use those types of mental things to let them understand how to be mentally tough and, just push through it.
Awesome.
Bill, can you imagine, Bill, having a former major league great as your high school baseball coach? I mean, the people at Oak Street are winning. Absolutely. Royce, I have a question for you here. I don't know if you know this, Royce. My dad is Jon Orlando, the singer. And I went to Pally High, and we actually played you guys in high school over at St. Bernard, right? And when we got there, my dad didn't make many games because he was always on the road working, and he made it to that specific game, and he called me over during warm-ups. Bill, this is a true story, Bill. During warm-ups, my dad points at Royce Clayton across the field, and he goes, "Who's that?" And I didn't know at the time. I didn't even know. I said, "I don't know." And my dad goes, "That guy's going to make it to the big leagues. We are warming up." And I go, "What?" He goes, "I can tell he's a big leaguer just by the way he walks." That is a true story, Royce Clayton.
Wow.
And footnote, Bill, by the way, Royce went on to hit, I think he hit 2 homers off me. I want to say in the same inning that day. I came in a relief. They absolutely mopped the floor with us. And I was our shortstop, not near as anywhere close to Mr. Clayton here. But I came in relief, and I think Royce hit 2 homers. I want to say in the same inning. Pretty crazy.
Oh, man.
So, but all of that leads up to a question I have for you. So my dad looked at the way you walk and said, "That's a big leaguer." Do you have anyone on your team currently that you just look at and you go, "Yep, he's going"?
It's hard to tell, but we do have some talented young players on our team. I have 2 young boys. My oldest is a junior. My youngest is a freshman. They're finding their way, and we do have a couple of pitchers that I think are going to do extremely well. It's just, I think it's a little harder to kind of tell these days because all these kids are super big, super strong. And the other part of it is just the intangibles as far as the swag and so forth. And our league's very competitive. We have some good players. Actually, we're playing Thousand Oaks, and you'll get a kick out of this, that Jack Wilson's the coach for TO. We got this big league shortstop battle. And to be honest with you, man, I'm on the downside of our series for the past couple of years, and we got a couple games to make up. So we get competitive. And the reason I mentioned that, they have 2 guys that are being scouted, 2 seniors, Rock Rizzio and Muncie. So they have 2 guys that should go pretty high in the draft. And I tell these kids all the time, these scouts are out here to watch these guys, but they also see you. So just make sure you go about your business the right way. Go hard. You hit a ground ball, run it out. They got stopwatches, so there's value in some of the other things that you can feed off of other people's success or other people's talent. And that's what I'm telling my guys. But I'm really excited, like I said, about our young crop of kids we have. We got a great program at Oaks Christian. And to be honest with you, Jon, I don't really think about developing the big league side. I really think about developing solid young men.
That's great.
Very cool. Very cool. So over the years now, you face so many legends as pitchers, other than Jon. Who are the toughest pitchers you faced? Do you think wow, these couple of guys are just the toughest guys I've ever had to face? Can you give us a couple names?
Yeah, I think, I tell people all the time, I think Pedro Martinez in our era was, undoubtedly everybody talked about how, what type of stuff he had. And there's always conversations, especially in today's game, about stuff. But, his baseball IQ and his memory as far as, pitch situations, pitch counts, and that you may have had, a year ago. He would remember those situations. So he's extremely smart, effectively wild, you name it. It was just, he was one of those dominant pitchers, but he's one of the best I've ever faced. I just always had a lot of respect for Greg Maddux, for the way that he went about it, and, just surgical, and just wanted you to hit the ball in, 1 to 2 pitches, because he knew he was going to be able to induce a ground ball and hit it right at somebody. And that's something I really miss as far as watching somebody that was so craftsman in the way that he went about his business. Didn't overpower you, but before you know it, you're in the 7th inning and, and he's throwing up donuts. So really had a lot of respect for him. From the left side, I really enjoyed competing against Randy. I've had some success, but just the mere fact of seeing, 6'10" guy out there on the mound coming from the left side with, wicked slider, 100-mile-an-hour fastball. It's just fun to compete against it. And, obviously some of the things that he was able to do in his career, the way he competed, the way he went out there and, would go out there and throw a shutout, and then a day later, come out the bullpen to help his team get into the next rounds. And, I really miss those days where, those kind of guys could change the entire series or change the complex of a team. And, just kudos to those guys that dominated for so long.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Royce, as Bill said earlier on the show here, he's a professional sports bettor, and he's always preaching the importance of bankroll management. And you being a now retired athlete, I'm wondering if you probably echo the same thing to the kids and young players coming up in terms of being able to manage your money and watch your money, because, you guys play for a specific window. Yes, you make a lot of money, but, I know that with investments and family and friends and all that and lifestyle, it can go pretty fast. How have you been able to, I know you've managed your money very well. Who helped you and mentored you coming up?
The biggest thing for me was my dad, when I was coming up and I just signed and, started to have an apartment, started to have bills. He made me sit down and write my own checks. And that was a valuable lesson, because you're seeing, the money you think, I got, this never ending, resource of cash. And then you start to see it slowly but surely going out the window.
Yeah.
You kind of, you really have an idea of money management and how to go about it. I think it's tough for guys that didn't have that understanding, to whether you get to the point where you're fortunate enough to when you retire, you have a nest egg put aside, but it's tough to, manage those resources or still understand. Because most times I think, those money managers and all that, they disappear when, the millions of dollars aren't coming through. So, like I said, take on the responsibility, fiscal responsibility of sitting down and, having your own type of budget system and understanding that money does go. You're not just going to, have this never ending resource. But I think also, just the fact that you're going to not be perfect. There's no perfect solution. We've gone through recessions. We've gone through, some tough times here in this country. So as long as you're ever able to weather those storms and, you come out the other side, you'll be fine. But I think also, I don't know how it is in this day and age when you got, $340 million, but understand that, you just can't always have outcome. You have to have some way to sustain some type of income to get you through that longevity of however long you stay on this earth. You just can't have outcome. So with that being said, figure out ways to where you can become a business owner, or, create something for yourself, and manage those situations where you can have a passive income, because I think that makes all the difference in the world. But, like I said, in today's, when we talk about baseball, and I just jokingly said about 340 million. Not everybody's making that kind of money. So
right.
You also have to understand, put in perspective and, like I said, figure out some type of way to generate a business where you have some passive income for the rest of your life.
That's great that you actually had your dad mentor you like that. And we're products of our parents, and I'm sure you're teaching your children the same thing. That's fantastic because, with the world of social media today and everything, the kids don't have the common sense and decision-making skills, and let's just call it street smarts like we had growing up, or we had a little bit more. So that's great that you have that in you, and you can teach your own kids that too. Fantastic.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, Royce, man, thank you so much for joining us. I haven't talked to you in a while, and to shoot you a message and you hit me right back, and you've got a busy day today, and you made the time to come on our show here really means the world to me. I can't thank you enough, man. It says a lot about you. No,
my pleasure. It's always good to catch up, and I just love talking about the game, and that's a big part of it. And I'm a big fan. I want baseball to continue to grow, continue to have young people that can make the game exciting, have young people that become fans and understand the game. So anytime I get the opportunity to talk about it, I'm always on point. So thanks for having me. Yeah, man. And always a pleasure. Good catching up with you. That's a great story, man. And I was honored.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on, Royce.
Dad say that. Man, that's awesome. Thank you.
That is an absolute 100% true story. It was crazy. He saw you walk and he said, that guy's a big leaguer. Yeah. And hey, Bill and I live in Vegas. We're in Vegas now. So if you ever get out this way, let us know, please.
Absolutely. All right, Bill. Thanks, Jon.
Cool. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Bye-bye.
That's Royce Clayton, everybody. Wow, Krack, that was great. I could have listened to him all day. I'm a baseball junkie. So, that was really special.
He is an old school guy. I love the teaching aspect, the wanting to teach the kids, and just even the bankroll management there for these young up and coming athletes and stuff. And it's fantastic. He was a great guest. Yeah, great guest. Well, Krack, another episode has flown by. Before we go, there's another UFC fight this Saturday night, and I've got a buddy fighting, my buddy Giga Chikadze. He was a very highly decorated kickboxer for Glory Kickboxing. He's been in the UFC for a couple years now. He is undefeated in the UFC. He's 5-0. He was 4-0 last year. He fought 4 times last year, which is unheard of. It's very rare that a guy fights 4 or more times in a year. He is fighting Cub Swanson, who is a beast in his own right. He's a UFC veteran, and the line on Giga, I believe Giga is the favorite. I think he's -155. And Krack, I know you don't like when I do this, but bet the house on Giga. He's going to take it home. Giga by KO round 1. You heard it here. I would take that prop too. All right, Krack, go ahead and fire away on me. I'm rooting for you, especially as your friend. And I mean, let's keep him undefeated. I like to see a guy get built up. Get like 10-0, 12-0, get a big name, and bring him on the show. All right, brilliant. All right, so Krack, as always, it was good chopping it up with you, and we'll see all you guys next week. Awesome.